Lali-Ho Twitch chat. Thanks for joining us this evening for a Lali-Ho League Swiss. We're in round 3 or week 3 of the Swiss rounds. We have an exciting match for you tonight between Lord Bob Bree and PlasmaKappa. I'm iClubper and I'm joined on comms today by Poidrak. We have Aegis on tracking and Cubs Rule 21 doing restream. Poidrak, how are you doing this evening?
Lali-Ho, well, it's 11, just gone 11 o'clock in the evening for me. We've got a race coming up, so I'm at my peak time.
Perfect. Must be excited then for some free enterprise to be doing it at this hour.
Oh yeah, this is normally earlier than I normally do it, so yes, I'm wide awake and ready for this. Excuse me, I just fall asleep.
Well, I imagine we'll have a real exciting seed for you tonight, so you won't have to have any worries about falling asleep. I imagine most of Twitch chat here is aware of the Lali-Ho flag set, but we have our 5 objectives here, 4 of which you need to complete to get the crystal, and the bottom 2 there are randomized on each of these seed rolls. So this defeat the Dark Imps, the boss version, and get Edge are our new random objectives for today's seed.
Yeah. The 2 random objectives are taken from the boss pool or the character pool, so we won't get any random quest objectives. So always be defeating a particular boss or getting a particular character. Dark Imps and Edge are today. Edge is one of those characters that will always be, at least under these flag sets, behind a key item gated character check, but the Dark Imps could be anywhere of our 38 locations.
Yeah, definitely a lot of different spots for bosses to be hiding, including multiple of those locations which literally have nothing in them other than just the boss. So we might see our runners go ahead and just peek those locations to see if the Dark Imps happen to be hiding out there, or maybe D-Mist is hiding out there. That's also on this flag set. We have no free key item, so you have to find D-Mist and defeat D-Mist to get an item from Rydia's mother.
Between our two runners today, Lord Bob Bree and PlasmaKappa, both are on a 0 and 2 sort of record at the moment. So a win today for either of these could be their way back in to the Lali-Ho sort of thing, because again, very close to sort of being eliminated at this point. So at least.
Yep.
in their thing. So both are
Covered for the Rydia start. All right.
Teller.
Ooh, with the Tella start. Well, is definitely interesting in this seed. Fu is back from his vacation, so a lot of times we're happy to see him over Tella. But Tella, if you finish that ordeals, does give you a lot of utility, which can be nice early on.
Yeah, even before then, he still has Cure 2, which early on is single target Cure 2s usually are enough to heal someone up and be. Especially those early locations where
speedrun, we're looking to go as fast as we can.
Loot. So Watery Pass could be on the table for our runners here to just go and pick up the higher quality loot and just exit out from the back, or the more dense loot locations as well could be on the table.
Definitely. So looks like no one's dipping Watery Pass yet. We have Lord Bob Bree going to Baron, seeing Kane there guarded by Kanaizo, and PlasmaKappa going over to Damsian and looting that treasury. So both these locations don't have as high quality loot, but there's a big quantity here, especially Damsian there, as you see the 9 chests all in that one room.
And we say high quality, but you can't get too much better quality than a cursed ring in that underground and sort of location. Cursed ring, brilliant for your agility manipulation, and will likely be seeing use of that quite often.
Definitely, always happy to see Curse Ring on this flag set. You will always have the ability to just create that big agility anchor, get someone's agility down to 0 or 1, and the rest of your team will now just be fast at any boss location.
On the other side, Lord Bobbery has just picked up a Gungnir spear from Watery Pass as well as an Ogre Axe. So we know that Kane is in the seed at that Baron Inn location, and that Kane is. I'm never unhappy to see a Kane in this particular flag set because you start out with an Ogre Axe with the gear that you've been given, and that does back row glitch him. So with a bit of heavy armor that you might find lying around, because we do have the Sea Necky flag, he comes with nothing. He can be a fairly good starting character.
And we do see who's waiting in the bed there behind San Ruby is Pusoya. So that'd be very exciting if we find that San Ruby. I imagine there'd be a quick return back to pick up him.
Yeah, Fu is, as you said, back from vacation. He's picked up exactly where he left off and being pretty much the most overpowered person in the game. But that's not really a surprise because he comes after 14 fights, he comes with every spell in the game. 14 boss fights. Yes, Sea Necky does reduce his viability a little bit, but Nuke is still Nuke.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. So, there's the second Curse Ring. I don't think Plasma actually hit yet. Oh no, Plasma got the first Curse Ring, so he has 2 now. He'll definitely be able to get those agility anchors going.
Yeah, one of the small differences I'm seeing and that's likely to happen is where PlasmaKappa went through the entire thing, he picked up a Leviathan summon for Rydia. A bit of a
definitely that could end up being quite big actually, having that Leviathan. Once Rydia, level 1 she doesn't have the MP for that, but when she does, that's a very strong spell here and will let you take out pretty much all those early game boss spots.
Yeah, a lot of our runners in the Lali-Ho League have taken to leaving Rydia down unless they find a powerful summon for her, like Leviathan, Bahamut, Sylph. So it's likely we're going to see some levels on this particular one because Leviathan should not be overstated. Doing around 3,000 to 4,000 damage on a whole group of enemies, yes, it costs a lot, but Rydia gets a lot of MP to sort of cover that.
Yep, definitely. And even in this flag set, the starter kit gets you an elixir. So if you really need to, in say maybe a spot with 2 or 3 boss fights in a row, or just any other time,
Vatella in your group anyway. Lord Bobbery is having not picked up that Leviathan summon, is going to be checking the west side of Hobbs to see what kind of summon is for free there. There's the shop for cursed rings as well. So if you want any more cursed rings, they're available for 25,000 gil or GP.
Yeah, usually one's enough, but we'll see if anyone comes back and maybe equips the whole team with them, which not usually a good reason to do that, but you never know. Black belt also found by PlasmaKappa. Normally, your edge, when you do find him, will bring a black belt. As you noted with the current flag set, all characters come with no armor on. So having this type of armor found early on is good. As you pick up those characters, you have something to put on all of them.
Yeah. On the other side of the scale, in terms of rings, in the west side of Hobbs, there's a crystal ring. After Lord Bobbery found Jinn, or as it's later known, Ifrit.
And we have Pelham up here, guarded by Dark Knight Cecil. Pelham, great another Black Mage pick up there, especially because we haven't found Leviathan on Lord Bree's side.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult to keep Riddy up during this, but hopefully we get a sort of low roll and be able to life Riddy up. You do want the experience from this, and yeah, here there it goes. Lord Bree may not have that Leviathan summon, but Ifrit can't be understated. Fire damage, there's a few enemies that are weak to it.
Yep, definitely. There will be some cases where they'll end up just doing more damage due to being able to exploit that elemental weakness. PlasmaKappa hanging into Antline Cave before checking Hobbs here. Maybe feel, well, shouldn't be able to cast a Leviathan yet, so might be a little tricky to take out this boss, but we'll see.
If they found some decent J attacking items, they should be okay in this particular spot. We'll have to see what they've found in addition to their looting bits, but defense-wise, I think we're good. That Sorcerer Robe should just shore up the last little bits that PlasmaKappa might have on as worries.
Definitely. Both good defensive-wise and some even extra casting stats for your mages.
In terms of our team at the moment, though, I'm liking utility mage in Teller, and Kane, in which we'll be getting a bit later, definitely covers this physical side quite well.
And as noted, there is that get edge objective, so there is a chance to get the edge to maybe get some more physical on the team, as well as maybe some really bursty physical damage through his throw command.
Yeah. And oh wow, PlasmaKappa is going the tried and tested early game, hit them over the head with a whip or flail Rydia. Dragon and
find that right equipment.
Lovely. Yeah, this spot won't likely give enough levels and MP to have enough for that Leviathan. Speaking of which, but with a Dragon Whip, you're not worrying too much, and PlasmaKappa will be able to get through that Dark Knight a little bit more or easier, having a higher level and higher amount of hit points on that Rydia.
Lord Bree getting through quickly though with that Lightning Tooth that Pelham picked up from doing Mount Hobbs and rewarded with the package, which I do imagine will probably be checked here, given that we have the objective to get edge. Need to find out if that's where he's hiding out or not, even though it can be a long check to get through it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of characters you still would like to see I'm actually partial to a Yang on these Fanag sets because he doesn't need a whole lot of sort of gear to make him really good later on. On Edge, this is a gating key item. He could be behind it. Rosa and Porum, you always want a white mage. Age Fu could be there. So there's a lot of characters you could want behind this.
And it looks like we get a sit. Willing to back out of that. He did go ahead and check in the Mist Cave though, as we noted, looking at those out of the way boss locations for Dark Imps, but just found the Mega Sisters. So
yeah, that's really nice to see Mega Sisters in that particular spot. They can be a pain in some locations later, so seeing them out of the way, always nice.
Yeah. And here we have PlasmaKappa going and picking up his Pelham as well, while Lord Bree's heading into Fabul.
You might not want to do that, PlasmaKappa. Dark Knight has a script.
Ooh.
He will use Dark Wave 3 times and then say, "That's enough. I'll let you go," and disappear himself. But if you attack him, well, he continues to fire his Dark Waves. And I think if you do it after you have to wait until after his statement of saying you must not fight now. So yeah, it took way longer because of that.
As well as it looks like he'll only be getting the experience on Tella, which is unfortunate because Palom getting the XP from here will unlock all 3 level 2 elemental spells, which is a real nice thing to have to be able to take advantage of those elemental weaknesses.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Yang is
interesting. Yang attacking. That's interesting thematically, but at least not too hard of a boss fight for Lord Bree to get through as he finishes it off here.
Yeah, we see a Jin come out to play, as well as a few a tier 2 spell on Palom, and Tella's helping.
And oh boy, we were talking about getting real excited to find that Sand Ruby to be able to unlock the Fusoya, and sure enough, here it is right in Fabul. So I imagine there'll be a quick go.
Tella, but there's 3 bosses up there which will unlock 9 of Fu's spells, so it's a really good place for him as well. PlasmaKappa is going through that Sid cutscene though. It's not a bad play. You do have a boss hunt, and at the end of this, there is a boss.
Yeah, he could end up getting really rewarded here if Dark Imps happen to be hiding out at that one boss spot, or the D-Mist. Either of those could be really big finds. And we're picking up Fusoya here. I'm not sure if Lord Bree might immediately check the spell list to see if he's gotten lucky and gotten any good spells early on, or as you were saying, maybe just head straight over to Ordeals, take on those boss fights, and just start unlocking some more spells.
Could always, if you do have don't have a sort of catch-up mechanic in the in our experience gathering today. We have no boost, so there's no double experience if you are 5 levels behind.
Yep. And he does have Lightning 3, so that is a pretty strong spell, as long as they just don't have lightning resistance or immunity. And goes ahead and takes on Bear.
Also comes with a Lilith Rod. Lilith Rod, with one of the black mages or anyone that casts black magic, is likely one of the most preferable weapons you can come with, because +5 wisdom and no real downsides. Plus, if you need MP, you just use it as an item on one of your people that has MP. You take it.
All right. So when your Fusoya only knows Lightning 2 and Lightning 3, you're kind of happy to run into Kanaizo and Octomam here, bosses that are weak to these lightning spells. And Octomam drops to 1 Lightning 3.
Yeah. Octomam is a very punchy boss in a very punchy spot, but Lit 3 here hits a weakness and just takes him out in one shot. Nearly 8,000 damage. That spot only has 4,000. I think he won.
And gets rewarded there with the tower key. Won't be able to make immediate use of that, but definitely will make dipping tower once the underground access is opened up much more attractive, as you can get that single trip into the tower.
Yeah. PlasmaKappa has found a bomb invading the Inn of Kaipo, so it takes a little bit longer because Bomb comes with an additional 9,000 hit points on top of its normal amount, so it's difficult to just break through to start off with before the explosion, but cleans up the bombs afterwards, gets their Sid, and should be underway, likely to Fabul next.
Lord Bobry is indeed heading up ordeals, so this will get the 3 boss checks, which is good for powering up the Foo. Has the chance of running into those Dark Imps or the D-Mist, as well as you're rewarded here at the end with a key item. All your Cecils, if there are any in the seed, will be upgraded to Paladins, and Tilla will learn his full spell list.
And Meteor. Because that comes separately for some reason.
That is interesting, and unfortunately he won't be able to cast that unless you do find him a Soma drop, in which case he will in fact be able to use that Meteor spell, which is helpful on a handful of bosses.
That secret, I don't think he's forgotten about the Gungnir since it was right next to the Ogreax. It's just he's chosen to prefer the Ogreax, which is fair enough. It's got slightly better accuracy than the Gungnir, especially so a level 10 Kane would wield it a little bit easier, but not really, but that much. So it's really preference on what you want to do. The main thing really is Lord Bobry is going to be leveraging this Foo more than the Kane right now.
That's definitely true. Fu will be able to really probably single-handedly take on all these bosses on the overworld, especially with access to a level 3 elemental spell.
Speaking of level 3 elemental spell, Odin, also weak to lightning.
Yeah, again, if your Busio is going to get lightning, these are the set of bosses you'd like to run. PlasmaKappa heading straight up ordeal, so I think he baited Fabul here, which means he's not going to find out about that Sand Ruby and thus pick up his Busio. These bosses might prove a little more challenging, but Palom, knowing his level 2 elemental spells, should be strong enough to get him through the spot.
Yeah, Rubiconte is weak twice when his cape is open, and Odin is weak to lightning, and this shouldn't be too much of an issue for them. It's just going to take a little bit longer because it's not going to be a one-shot, I feel.
Although I'm not actually sure if Palom has learned those level 2 elemental spells, because unfortunately he didn't get the experience from the Mount Hobbs spot, so.
That is true.
We'll have to
I
see.
guess we're going with the level 1 unspell.
Yep. All right, and it looks like Lord Bobry gets the Twin Harp inside the crystal room here, and then sees a blue robe, which is always a little concerning because you're not too sure which of the blue robes you're going to find. Will it be the Quick Water Hag or the much longer Alt Gauntlet? But turns out it's just a Water Hag here, so just smack it 3 times and the fight will end.
Yeah, as long as you don't miss any attacks. But Twin Harp is very interesting. This is one of 2 things, well, before we found out what the key item was, this was one of 2 things that could give us underground access. Yes, be a hook or the magma key. And it's given us the Twin Harp, which also, although it's an objective, it's also a little bit of a chain to get to the underground access. The other one that's available is the good old Mist Dragon, and that can be hiding in. I think the only other 2 places we've got that haven't been checked is the Twin Harp location and the Mega Sisters.
Yep, I don't recall if either racer checked Waterfall. I know Lord Bobry did take Mist Cave, but for sure, it's that D-Mist could be holding the item that gives us underground access. So I imagine Lord Bobry will probably go ahead and check that Twin Harp, given 1, it's the objective, and 2, a guaranteed key item.
We are seeing chocobos. As from radio today, and well, Ice 1 on Teller and Palom are doing just fine.
Yep.
Also making use of the script.
I'm actually bluffing there to raise his magic stat, so any spells he does throw will hit for that much more damage.
Yeah. But casting Fire 1 on Rubicante does cause them to cast Revive on your team, and since Radio went down, why not? You don't use a life potion or a life spell. Let Rubicante do it for you. He's a nice guy like that.
Yeah, exactly. Those life potions, you only have so many. You don't want to run out. So if you can get a different way to get revived, why not? Oh, there you go. That was a big ice one, hitting for 1,000 damage there. The bluffs together with the exploiting the elemental weakness just adds up to a lot of damage.
Yeah, that spot doesn't have any magic defense, so spells from there usually do their full damage. Taking advantage of it, taking advantage of that knowledge, PlasmaKappa is through and just about to go on to Odin. And with Lit 2, should make a quick work of it.
Yep, definitely having those level 2 elemental spells will help a lot on this next boss, especially because it's kind of a race. If you take too long, he will use the Odin spell, which, depending on the boss's magic stat, can hurt a lot of times being a full team wipe.
Yeah. Of course, you want to see the Odin in spot as Odin attack in this spot when you're a viewer, but you don't want to see it as a runner because it does actually hit quite hard. But as a viewer, you see it go around the world, and well,
that seems fair. It should hit pretty hard if you manage to travel around the world before striking you at that speed. Alright, so with Lord Bree going into the Cave Magnus here, his Fusei, who's been carrying him through these boss spots, might not be as effective as the magic defense on this boss spot is, well, very, very high. Most spells, other than Nuke, just seem to not really do anything.
has Meteor. Meteor.
Oh, there's another
enough.
one. Nope, that might be able to pierce through that magic defense.
It does depend on the enemy that you fight here. There are a couple that have perfect immunity in this spot, not many. Most of them are very, very high, but there are a couple that have perfect immunity. But I don't think we're going to see it, and I think the only one that's left is possibly the Dr. Luge, actually.
All right.
The bomb, the red bombs from Mum Bomb are definitely one though, but we've already seen Mum Bomb.
Excellent. Looks like we're getting right into the music here, so I think we'll just be quiet for a minute and allow everyone enjoy the randomized song at this location.
And if there's any boss that you want to throw rocks on, Evil Wall is definitely one of them.
And sure enough, it does go ahead and connect here, doing a
metric meteor storm of damage.
Excellent.
And yeah,
there is the underground access.
Yeah, through a magma key today. People will usually like that as your route underground. I'm actually on the other side at the moment with these particular flag sets because, let's face it, trade away the pink tail is one of the objectives, and getting a hook route out means that you've got one half of it ready.
Actually, yeah, that's a really good call, and especially also if you have that character hunt as part of your objectives, you'll get a character check going down the hook route as well. So finding that hook could be pretty exciting news, actually, even if it does mean, well, you have a bit of a harder route to the underground the rest of the seed might be a little faster to complete.
Yeah, and there are 2 bosses at the end of it, so you don't have to worry about peaking them in some way later, and it might just be one of your objectives. There's been a couple of times where King Queen spot has had a couple of boss objectives today, or over the course of this tournament.
Yep, as well as being called out in chat, the shop itself is very nice. You'll generally find, I think it's 2 of the level 5 items that are things we're generally looking for, things like sirens, things like bacchus wines, hourglasses. So having a chance to check that shop early can really help you get set up for later parts of the seed.
Yeah. So yeah, the hook is quite valuable. You're not going to take away from a magma key though, because yeah, that's always nice just to get down early, do those chop checks. You might find those sirens, coffins, get some early grind on, and just take advantage of what is down here.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, sometimes when you find the hook, you just continue searching the rest of the overworld for the magma key, hoping not have to go that hook route. Usually, though, if you get the magma key, you're happy enough with that, and you don't keep searching for the hook.
But if you lost location it, you don't mind anyway.
All right. So Lord Bree must be feeling pretty good about his equipment state at this point, as the Fey March is a common other place to do some looting, do a save outside. There's only the one trap chest, and some pretty high quality gear can be found down here. But already well equipped, so he'll just do the fast route, just walk straight through to get his key item here of the Darkness Crystal.
That is Moon Access. That is Zeromus Access. So we've got our way to the final boss. We just need our crystal, which we need the objectives for. But it's also a character check, so Edge might be up there, and there are 6 bosses up there, which any of them could be the Dark Imps. And Dark Imps, you're not really afraid of the Dark Imps if you've got a way to sort of counter them, which is usually a toad, mini, stop. Any of those things, you're fine with them.
Yep, that, and I believe one of the runners picked up an hourglass too, so even if you don't have access to Fusoya or Tella with his full spell set, anyone can throw that hourglass and just stop the fight, or, well, as long as it's going to take you to knock down those Dark Imps. So we did check Lord Bubbery did go ahead and check the bosses down here. Probably hoping to see those Dark Imps, but instead it was Mylon variant and I believe the Dark Elf.
2 bosses that aren't really a danger down here, but they are a little bit time consuming. The Dark Elf could be a bit more or dangerous once you get to its second form, but Mylon Z will punch hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to do it in this particular time, because these punches will come out, they will one-shot the characters, even Fu. Okay,
especially
never mind.
Fu sitting in the front row, but Callum was able to take a hit, but still dropped before Fire 2 came out. Yeah, I'm not sure if he threw that curse ring onto Tella, because that can get the agility anchor situation to be working a little more in his favor. But those punches are hurting, so yeah, this spot might be hard, even though he'll have good access to damage by exploiting the fire weakness.
Yeah. As for Dark Elf, I'm not sure if Lord Bobry has picked up Nuke yet, but Meteo doesn't really help a whole lot here. It's good against the first form, however, it actually is absorbed by the Dark Dragon side of Dark Elf, so it's not useful for that.
Although if you can make it to that, yeah, exactly. The second half lost bit on, so if you can make it to that half, just throw a stop out from any one of your 4 black mages there who should know it by this point, and lock him down. Unlike the hourglass, it won't last for the rest of the fight, so you might need to keep upping the stop spell, but as long as you keep casting that every so frequently, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. One small problem though is this spot does have around 25,000 health, so one meteor won't be enough. Otherwise, we've got an encore of Blaster Master, so enjoy that.
All right, and PlasmaKappa able to make it through the fight just with the fighting. So,
one of the things we should note about PlasmaKappa is he's trying this Leviathan spell. However, the Dragon Whip that he's got equipped at the moment is currently neutering Rydia's Wisdom, the Black Magic stat. So those Leviathans aren't exactly being as potent as they could be. You can get around 2,000 damage against that particular spot, but only getting 200 this time because of the lower wisdom.
Yep. But at least Rydia was able to auto attack for a good amount of damage. And unfortunately, it looks like Lord Bree took a wipe there. He did get to the second half of the Dark Elf fight, but wasn't able to lock that form down. And so it's unfortunately not been able to find out what was hiding out at that spot.
Yeah, the speed in that spot is fairly high, and even with a cursed ring, it can be difficult to just tie down and make sure all your ducks are in a row, especially with long casting spells such as Meteor, such as the level 3 spells.
So he'll just head on over instead to Dwarf Castle, which is a good another really nice spot to check here. You get the 2 bosses, so potential finding again either of those bosses we're looking for, a character might have her edge, and that key item. So a lot of potential get something good here.
Full inventory, so wanting to sell out as much as possible right now, but shouldn't be too bad. You're going to want the money anyways, and at least you're doing this in a shop where you can sell things rather than throwing things away in the inventory management section.
Yep, just giving them back to the chest as you're trying to take an item out of it. Definitely better this way, as well as not limit it to just getting rid of 8 things from your inventory at a time.
Lord Bree has found coffins, so they will be useful against a number of bosses. Not this one coming up, because that's no sprite, which means that is Antlion. Antlion here is dangerous. I never like seeing him here.
Oh, it hit pretty hard, although if you're not triggering those counter attacks through setting up the fight command, that would definitely help with the fight. But yeah, one hit knocking down Rydia there, and moving fast enough, so knocking down actually, well, already 3 out of 5 characters. That's looking a little scary.
Yeah, this spot is one of the ones I find that having a cursed ring is actually the worst thing you can do to equip. I'm not entirely sure why, but this spot always seems to be quicker than any other one when a cursed ring puts someone down to 1 agility.
That's definitely interesting. And without the curse ring, it's actually a relatively slow spot, so it can be nice to, in fact, not have the curse ring on there to maybe outspeed it, so your entire team doesn't get knocked down, although the spot immediately after is a fair bit faster, so that can make the next fight a little riskier. But again, if you can't get past the first one, maybe unequipping that curse ring as way through it is going to be a good idea.
Having to fill up the top to get the first turn should help a little bit, but there's no instant casting spells such as Nuke at the moment, so it's still going to be a bit of a headlong drive into this. There's going to be a number of attacks coming out from the antlion.
Yeah, though Fu also being that top slot now is backroad, so he'll take less damage, so maybe he'll be able to survive a few hits to get that lightning 3 off.
PlasmaKappa still hasn't got that Fu, still hasn't gone to Eblin, to Fabul, but is likely holding off in hopes of a pan.
It could be with this underground access, so he do Sheila 1 and Fabul at once will be enough to drive him to Fabul, but we'll have to see. As well as it's probably going to depend a lot on what he sees, both here from the Dwarf Castle. He might do Tower first, again, as you're saying, hoping to get that pan, and probably choke the Fey March to get that Darkness Crystal. So at least do all of his quick nearby checks to see if he can find that pan before heading over.
Lord Bree and Bob Bree has put a blink spell onto Fu. However, there's that speed.
You are right. That boss is really fast at this location. That was a lot of attacks before Lord Bob Bree got another turn.
Was also using Lit 3, and Lit 3 has the tier 3 spells have a quite high cast time. So Antlion relative 1 is going to get 4 hits off between you trying to cast that spell and actually casting it. And that was more than enough time for Antlion to just go nom nom on everyone on his team.
Definitely. I think difference here with PlasmaKappa, I believe Rydia still has that Dragon Whip and likely not the Curse Ring on, so instead this boss is a lot slower, giving him a chance to start those life potions, get blink spells up, so his party's staying alive, but with a little less damage output, so it's still potentially going to be a hard fight to get through.
Yeah, no virus on Palom, which you'd really want to see going into this particular spot. I usually like to see come into this particular location. Although I like to do it early, I'd like to see it at least virus on either Palom or Rydia, definitely, and have someone that's got a good casting ability. So virus on Fu or Nuke on Fu. Virus on Teller is a good one if you've got an amount of wisdom gear on him.
Yeah, definitely. There's 8,000 HP to get through at this location, so you really want to have someone who's at least hitting for 1,000, 2,000 damage on each of their turns, or otherwise this boss can take just a really long time to get through, and then you're immediately met by another boss who might just wipe you out, and then all that time is sunk.
Yeah, the famous Wyvern or Ogo Pogo in the second spot always catches you unaware the first time, and you hate it.
Yeah, although Lord Bob Bree did just face Ogopogo here in the tower at the Super Cannon spot, so at least that won't be the second boss on this seed. But Wyvern, I think, is still up as a possibility, so Lord
And just
Bob
about to head up to the top.
doing the super cannon room first, and we'll now be checking the top, which will get him the immediate key item reward, and then he'll be rewarded for the super cannon room on his way out of the tower.
Doing the super cannon and room first here makes a whole lot of sense. It's 5,000 experience, which isn't exactly a small amount with the levels we've got on our characters at the moment, and 3 additional spells for Fu. Going up into Mist Dragon, you'd really like a spell or two.
Yeah, definitely. As well as one of those, as you're kind of noting, the instant cast spells can be real nice against Mist Dragon. Don't have to worry about the timing of when it'll be going to Mist form. If you have those instant cast spells, a lot easier to just make sure they'll connect.
One thing I did notice there, though, did you see what the boss behind Mist Dragon was?
Oh, I did not.
It was Valvalis. Valvalis is in the Rubicante spot today, so we do not have to worry about that. And for a very mage-orientated setup that our characters are running at the moment, our runners are running at the moment, that's very nice to see, even if you've got a way through it with Kane.
Yeah, definitely. That's nice to see. And really no motivation to have to go there, even if you end up having your Dark Imps in, say, the King and Queen Evelyn spot. You take the Dark Imps and then just walk out.
As for PlasmaKappa, is through that online. Well done to him. Rewarded with Teller and a free boss here.
All right. So one Teller feels like enough, so he'll go ahead and send that one away. Ooh, as noted, this spot is much faster than the one before it, so you see 2 characters getting knocked down pretty quickly, but the coffin takes one out instantly, as this boss does not have the boss bid on.
Yeah. The guards are weak to a lot of things and can be life glitched. However, with the state that PlasmaKappa's team is in, I like his play here to focus more on just killing one, getting his team up, and then killing the other one with coffins, and make sure the experience goes on to everyone, and rather than a lot of experience going on to one.
Yeah, definitely worked out for him too, as able to get through that fight, because taking a wipe there would have been very painful, as he would have to go through the antline again. All right.
Teller's Blink is coming along quite nicely, and there's the risk of those longest casting spells. Yep. Fuslit 2 did not go off.
But Virus, very fast spells, that'll come out and be easy to connect. Doing probably good 1,500 damage, 18,000 HP to get through here, so it'll take a few hits of spells at that level, but can eventually get through.
Yeah. Do we have a Cecil anywhere?
Oh boy, it sure would be nice for that sword we just picked up, but we don't know where one is yet.
Yeah, we've still got a number of locations to check, and there are 10 distinct. However, Cecil hasn't shown his face yet, and may not show it at all.
Yeah, especially because we do know one of those unknown characters is Edge, as he does have to be in the seed somewhere, since he's an objective. So there's one opportunity for Cecil to no longer be him. But there's still enough character spots to check that maybe we'll find that Cecil, and he'll immediately be online with that crystal sword and be hitting for a ton of damage.
Yeah, there are 2 dupes usually in this under these conditions, and we've already seen one being Teller. So there's still another one out there. So yep. We'll see who that could be. It'll go through enough spots.
Do have access already to, say, at least on Lord Bob Bree's side, the moon, which would be a character check. But again, makes a lot of sense here. While he's in the underground, do as many of these checks as he can before going through that. Summon animation of the lunar whale and heading off to the moon, just for the character check. It'd be nice if when he heads up there, he could also start taking on at least some of those boss locations.
Yeah, definitely the holding out for that pan, and I can't see too much other reason at this moment in time. I'm to not go and do that what is essentially now 2 very free checks.
We have PlasmaKappa here taking on one of the trap chests. Here. So these trap chests can have some pretty good items. Right now with the current flag set, the only way to get tier 7 items is from trap chests. No normal chests will have tier 7, as well as key item spots can also reward you with tier 7 items. So much up here.
Yeah, and sometimes you just pick up a power shirt and a defense sword from untrapped chests, and you don't care what else is in the trap chests.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, definitely. Those are some really nice items. Defense sword, a great weapon there for Kane, and that power shirt means he'll be hitting even extra hard with it.
So Lord Bree is through that fight against the Mist.
I did not see what he was rewarded with there.
I did not either, but nothing's been lit up, so I'm going
I don't see anything new with the tracker.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, just some item. But again, D-Mist is the bonus round. If he returns to Mist Village, the Radiant's Mother will have another key item check location available for him. So there's still potential to be rewarded for this.
Lalo Lady is saying hook. That's a character check. That's and half of the objective 3. Trade away the pink tail.
Oh wow, that then is a big find. So that could be a big reward here.
Yeah, and it's edges vanilla locations, and I tend to find that vanilla locations are biased to their own person in a lot of occasions. So we may see edge down there.
Yep, as well as I still don't think we found say Siren, so that might be a motivation to go ahead and check. Oh, there's Baron Key as well, another character check possible. But checking the Eblin Cave there to see if that's where Sirens are waiting and be able to maybe get some few levels, get Paladin to immediately learn things like Quake.
Yeah. I would definitely go and check the hook route first, at least personally, because then you can maneuver. Then you can do your shop check, the character check, maneuver the hovercraft into the location for the pink tail later, and then you don't have to worry about it.
All right. Well, it looks like Radia's mom is holding the Adamant Rock, which if D-Mist had both the Adamant Rock and the hook behind it, which means the way to complete 2 of our 5 objectives, that is required. So good news, though, is PlasmaKappa is heading that way as well, and we'll be getting this required spot done.
Yeah. Baron Key, the Baron Key is also nice. I don't remember the first. Oh yeah, it was Golbez, wasn't it? And the first spot that we saw that gave us our starting key
item so
today.
Long ago, I can't recall that.
Yeah,
maybe chat can help us here.
So that's a potential stumbling block, but it is a character check afterwards, and there are 2 other bosses down there, and that's a very nice shop.
Yeah, both the Sirens and the Hourglasses. So Sirens, good ability to grind. Hourglasses, a few bosses they'll just lock down immediately, as well as make, say, the Gold Dragon grind real easy to do.
Including our required boss, the Dark Imps.
Exactly.
Also Bombs and Noctis. Although you won't want them now, I've tended to pick up a couple of them at the start of the game, just in case I don't have too many other options, and you find an early alternate. Surprisingly effective early on.
Early location, you'll be happy just have that AoE damage.
So Lord Bree is heading down that hook route, going to find out what the character is. Could go. We know who the boss in the Rubicante spot is, but we don't know the King and Queen Eblin spot.
Yeah.
And this
Not
is one of
interested
the
in checking it.
Yeah, this is one of the most dangerous and interesting questions you have to ask. Do you risk the time to go and check that in case it's the boss that you want, or do you just wait?
close to so many of his other objectives, it's probably making him maybe a little less interested in taking that gamble. But hey, if it is there, that can give you a real leg up on your opponent, being much closer to the end much sooner.
Yeah. Instead, picked up that adamant from Rydia's mother, going to go and complete that objective, get it over and done with, check the Cacao shop, which is usually, well, it's sometimes okay. In this particular flag set with the S standard, it's not quite up to snuff, but it's definitely one of the higher end gear things. Like having another power shirt is not bad.
Moonveil could also be interesting. There's a handful of bosses that will just make free as well. So having one of those in your inventory can always be nice as a safety net.
And since Lord Bobry didn't actually pick theirs up from the Tower of Babel, it was PlasmaKappa that did, having a power shirt for that cane is nice. Mm-hmm. Not picking it up just yet, though. Might come back for it.
It is expensive, and he did just buy all those sirens and hourglasses, so.
Yeah. There's also a white spear in there, which is definitely a marked improvement over the Ogre-Axe or Gungnir spear that Lord Bobry has. So there's a couple of things in there that he might want later.
Yep, exactly. And you get a little more looting done to find some more items to sell to build up that money, or maybe just through fighting bosses and other things on the moon will build him enough cash reserve to pick those up.
Yeah, gold dragons, not only a good source of experience, also a very good source of money.
But into Baron, so again, as you kind of noted here, there'll be the character check, so there's that chance to find Edge, and 2 unknown bosses here, so those are another chance to find the Dark Imps, and then the 2 key items as well, one behind the first set of bosses, and the one at the basement throne.
And we'll be able to see if my memory is correct, or am I just seeing things? Or remembering something from a seed that happened a few days ago.
All these seeds just seem to just go together. Well, Gobez is somewhere in this one, so it's fine.
Well, not necessarily. There is one boss that's always cut out of it because the vanilla water hag spot is not counted in this. But with him putting Piggy on, he believes that Golbez is here as well.
That's a good sign, Golbez, or this is otherwise a very interesting strategy. But assuming it's Golbez here, there's a certain hierarchy to status effects. So if you already have one, you can't get another. If your team is piggied or smalled, the paralysis effect Golbez throws out just doesn't affect you, and so you're free to throw your star veils before the spells start coming down.
Yeah, and it's always fun to walk into the Golbez fight and say, "We're here, but you're a bunch of pukes. So, are you?"
PlasmaKappa has made it through Demas as well, and is heading back down the tower, so we'll get rewarded with the hook, the Baron key, and hopefully we'll be picking up his adamant as well.
Still needs to pick up that darkness crystal from
yes.
Land of Summon Monsters, but has opted to go through the Dwarf Castle, which wasn't too bad, just didn't pay out a whole lot this time. But a little bit more experience on the characters, so could be fun. Could be a bit more set up for those Land of Summon Monster bosses, which aren't dangerous. They are dangerous. We've seen in
just because of the spot. Yeah.
But it's more lower because how low Lord Bobry was going into them particular spots today.
Yeah, definitely. He had only done some overworld bosses at that point, hadn't taken on Dwarf Castle for the 20,000 experience to each of those bosses, or maybe a Siren Egg to get 34,000 experience. So yeah, with those low levels, those bosses, even when they're not too scary, can be a real challenge.
And he's going to do the Sheila 1 check and likely pick up their Sand Ruby at the same time and get that foo.
think Lord Bobbery has finally been rewarded with Nuke on his foo, so definitely happy to see that, I imagine. Might also encourage him to go ahead and take on the basement throne after finishing off the rest of Baron, as Nuke will be a strong spell to help him get through that relatively higher level fight than what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and PlasmaKappa has done enough bosses so far that by the time he picks up his foo, Nuke will be available.
So, and he looks like he's staying right over to the pool. So he did fly by Mist Village, which is a little worrisome. He might have forgotten he beat Mist, or he might just be planning to route it in later. But we do know that holds the Adamant, which finishes an objective. So we do have to hope PlasmaKappa gets back there soon. Oh,
Sneaky Wyvern? No.
As always, that Sneaky Wyvern in a second boss spot after you finish one is it can always be a little rude to run into, but instead a much easier playing fight here.
Yeah, Nuke should finish this up in 2 hits. There he goes. So
that was a 1.
Easy fight, easy win. Going to pick up their character and key item. Do we get an edge? Do we get a Cecil?
Either of those would be great. I mean, you want to always finish your objectives, but when you could also just get that full-powered Cecil on, you're happy to take him too.
Yeah, Lord Bobbery didn't finish Dwarf, so doesn't have that crystal sword yet, but might go back later.
He does still have the X-Gal, which is still quite strong. Yeah, but it's our edge instead, so.
Yeah, and we have found some pretty decent edge gear. We've had a ninja sword, a mute dagger, a long blade, and PlasmaKappa also picked up Mazamune in one of the trap chests in the Tower of Babel. So there's some very decent weapons for him. So he's going to be a definite pickup for both our runners today.
And PlasmaKappa getting the Sheila 1 check done here, or the Pink Tail. With that access to hook means that's an objective done. So if Lord Bobbery is holding out on getting that pan to do this check, which he likely is since he's already done Pool, depending on just where that's hiding, this might take him a while to finish that objective up.
That is true, but we do have our no mode. We know where Edge is. We know where the Pink Tail and the hook is. We've done Cave Magnus. We know where that Adamant is for PlasmaKappa. And we have moon access with the Darkness Crystal readily available. It's just grind and go after you've got those last little bits.
Yep, and with the hook that gives access to Sirens, so there is easy way to grind as well. So yeah, so Lord Bobbery might end up going to the moon here to continue doing these checks, which, well, he might find the Dark Imps there, but I guess won't be getting a key item that will help him get towards the end any faster.
Yeah, likely just going to just cover this last little bit of information that he's wanting just to finish, because he did lose out on the Dwarf Castle. Also, just want to make sure this is it. He's not looking for anything else except likely the pan now.
Yep.
Or the Pink Tail.
Oh, yep. Suppose he doesn't know the boss behind here, so being able to find Dark Imps could be a good hit for him, although we know it's not. But this also might just be revenge. He knows Nuke now, so he probably feels a little more comfortable taking out this antline.
Yeah, revenge in Free Enterprise is a very powerful thing. You lose to one boss, and you want to go back and beat it. Just
show off your fancy new Nuke spell.
Yeah, and Quake as well.
Definitely. PlasmaKappa going ahead and checking Evelyn. It looks like he picked up his hovercraft and is. Yep, going to Evelyn. Still hasn't swung by Mist, so again, maybe he's forgotten. Maybe he's just planning his routing later since he wanted to pick up that hovercraft. But Adamant is there, so getting there as soon as possible is what we'd like to see from him.
going into the Baron Guards fight. PlasmaKappa going to pick up their sirens, their hourglasses. Likely sell the crystal sword. You don't need it. You're not going to pick up a Cecil today. That wasn't the crystal sword.
Did get a good chunk of change, but what does Kane already have on if he's selling them?
And Ogreax.
Yeah, Defense Sword definitely hits a bit harder, so that might have been a better item to put on and sell that Crystal Sword. We'll have to see how he ends up trying to, say, take on Zeromus. There are many powerful mages in his party now, so maybe he's already thinking on doing Reflect strats, although that does take a handful of extra levels to learn, say, Nuke on all your mages.
Yeah, we're currently at 9 key items for PlasmaKappa. So once they've picked up that Darkness Crystal or the Crystal, they're going to have their 10. So getting those levels isn't too bad. With Sirens, it's still a little bit of a time, but it's not as bad as not having those 10 key items.
Definitely, if you're going for that Nuke, if you really want to have the 10 key items, cut that grind time in half. As 10 key items rewards you double experience from every fight you take. And Lord Bobbery there, finding out his Crystal Sword is his reward for finishing Dwarf Castle, who also doesn't have a Cecil, so probably not the most excited about finding that.
Yeah. Right now, and unless you're hoping for a Cecil on the moon and going to do your grind up there, that Crystal Sword should be eyed for money right now. Get those sirens, get those coffins or hourglasses, whichever one you want.
Or that power shirt you were noting.
Yeah, the power shirt or the white spear. Just power up your team and get yourself ready. You're one objective away. A pink tail or the dark imps. You're ready to go.
PlasmaKappa is heading into Baron, which will get him the edge as he completes this. Which then, if he turns in that pink tail and picks up his adamant, he will be in go mode.
And you are right. Lord Bobbery is going in the opposite direction to the Sylph Cave. He's going to the moon.
That's unfortunate. It totally makes sense for this check. You need that one key item? Oh, it could be in many different places. Why not go where there's that really high density as opposed to just the one key item check? Let's go ahead and look for the moon and try to make a single dip into Sylph Cave. That can be risky depending on how long it takes them to find the pan here.
Yeah, it's sort of looking for Lord Bobbery's sort of looking for 3 things: pan, pink tail. We know where the pink tail is, so we know it's not on the moon, but he doesn't know that. And the dark imps. Any one of those, and he'll be back and checking things down here and finishing up. But it's going to take a while. Oh, and the bosses on the moon aren't exactly the weakest in the world.
Definitely not. Although if he does find those dark imps, those he should be able to deal with, as he bought some hourglasses. I believe he still has some coffins left over. That is one fight he'd be able to get through very quickly.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the first thing he does when on the moon is get his levels. Check the character, get his levels, get himself Zeromus ready for that one boss left. Or that potential one boss left.
Is heading into Cave Valley. So the nice part about this spot is you can peek at the boss here. You can see which sprite it is, so he'll be able to see if it's the Dark Imps or another boss he feels confident in taking. It doesn't take too long to walk down here, unlike, say, walking down to the bottom of the lunar subterrane.
And on this second and third floor, you do get the option of using those sirens and summoning the 2 gold dragon fights. So it's, if you see the boss there and it's the one you want, yeah, pop your grind and that's it. But that is a vanilla Bahamut, and Lord Bobbery wants nothing to do with that, at least right now.
Not interested. Yep. Again, I was probably just really hoping to see those dark imps, and then he would beeline right over, take that fight. But not seeing that, let's get a little more shopping done, find that character check, and probably, as you were saying, get those levels before he starts taking on bosses that aren't free.
So, who were you expecting in this location for the character? On a guess.
Let's see.
I'm thinking
I'm
Paul.
going to. I was going to say Rosa. Give us our white mage at this point, but see, it's probably just another Edward.
Very well could be.
And we still have one duplicate able to show up. Oh boy, it is. I imagine. Well, does he still need a anchor? Edward's not the best for that.
Lord
He's
Bobbery
probably
still
just not
does.
joining the voting.
Yeah, he still has Teller. Teller is going to be the anchor for Lord Bobbery. PlasmaKappa has removed his Teller when he got through, and likely Edge is going to be swapped out for either Rydia or Sid. So one of those two will. So if Sid or Fu would likely be the anchor for PlasmaKappa today.
Yeah,
in
and
my
with that curse,
idea.
right? That should be a good enough anchor. So.
Yeah, and you can go a little bit higher with Sid because you do have a dwarf axe as well.
Oh, true. And there we go. PlasmaKappa knows he has edge now. Or another completed objective, number 5 being done.
That's an interesting one. Not the first person I would have put on the chopping block, but PlasmaKappa has dropped Hallam. I can see why. If you're going to go with, say, just attacking, and Sid is fairly good with that. You do need some Buckless Wines, which I don't know if we've seen. I didn't see if they were on the moon, but it's definitely a strategy, and Rydia can throw her weight into that as well with the Black Belt and Dragon Whip.
Yeah. Seeing here, Lord Bobbery showing a good strategy here for the elements. Some of the harder locations is just keep reflecting spells on the far less dangerous Mylon Z form. The switch into the other elements only happen as part of a counter script, and those are only triggered from direct attacks. Any reflected spells will not trigger any counter scripts, so you only have to deal with that first form.
And yeah, Hallam is starting to learn his his tier 3 spells now, so he is getting up to those levels fairly quickly.
Yeah, so even with just being rewarded with that Sorcerer Robe, a good piece of gear. We don't see the reset, as Lord Bobbery probably is interested in that experience he got from doing that, and a decent piece of gear. So,
yeah,
not reset.
I like the look of that edge at the moment. Masamune Ninja, bandana, the power sash. And if you've got a rune ring or say a crystal ring, that's a nice nice little compliment to it.
Definitely. He will be able to attack for a lot. So PlasmaKappa is now going to check the basement throne. Probably a sign he may have forgotten about Deep Mist then, as he's not going and checking that. Although he would have to pick up the airship again, so he might think this is good for density, and will do so after finishing off all of Baron.
Might be just checking just to see if the Dark Imps are not down here. It is not. It is
ruder boss instead.
Yeah, and there's a reset. No, I thought that was a reset, but no, going through with this
we'll
fight.
Take the fight. Yep. Who knows, Quake or so even once Bigan throws up his wall after the first spell, you still have the ability to get past it. As well as Quake's nice is it might take out the arms, so that's 2 less attack sources coming in Bree.
Yeah. I would say a nuke is more, if you've got a follow up like Leviathan coming, and nuke on the body is a little bit more or safe for the initial damage, and let the Leviathan take on the arms, and then fall back into the Quake phase with the Fu.
Yeah, because Wall Bug will cast Wall, it's only after getting hit by the first spell, so you can get one high-powered nuke off before that wall comes up, and then start using spells that are able to pierce the wall. And Lord Bree is going ahead and gaining those levels, so taking on a Gold Dragon fight, which with the source of Stop and Weak can be done quite quickly.
Yeah, the one small thing for Lord Bree is, where are those dark imps? That's the question on our minds at the moment, and likely one of them on his. The problem is, those dark imps may not even be on the moon. We've still got the boss behind the Luca Cave. We've still got two bosses with the Earth Crystal in the Tower of Zot. And we've still got that elusive King Queen Evelyn spot and the Giant.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of locations.
Yep, definitely. So I imagine he's hopeful to find them here, but they might not be hiding out. Although there are a lot of boss spots here, so it's definitely a worthwhile check to be done, as well as those completing each of these bosses are rewarding him with a key item, which in his mind might be the pink tail, or again the pan, which will actually send him towards the pink tail.
Did anyone check the Fey Marsh? Yes, we have Dark Elf in the Asura spot and Mylon Z in the Leviathan spot today.
And just the chest there contains the Darkness Crystal, which PlasmaKappa still hasn't picked up, which is helping on making sure PlasmaKappa isn't heading towards the moon, which turns out doesn't appear to be necessary.
That might be what he's looking for, rather than the demist check. He hasn't. Although that was
that was the time to do it. If he was going to do it, Baron's real close to miss steering your airship. Swing by. It's likely he's forgotten, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is very easy to do. I have done it on multiple occasions.
No, I have definitely missed it too, and cost me a race before. It happens.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. You do it. You it's a long fight, right? You go. You're likely thinking, at the very start, this is demist. I need to go and check it. By the end of the fight, you've just finished it, and you're thinking, what was that boss again?
Exactly, especially in Tower, because then you have the long walk out of the tower, the cutscene at the end of the tower. Also, you were rewarded with Hook, which then was probably getting you to trigger. It's like, I better go check that character location. Just many things to keep track of, and it's easy. Just drop that one thing of, let's go ahead and check Demist.
Yeah, and went and checked Sheila 1 after that. So lots of little things. Your brain can only process so much information on your short-term memory. Sometimes it just pushes things away.
PlasmaKappa looking to go take on these bosses with the heal here. I don't think he actually peaks, so he doesn't know what he'll be fighting yet, but he's probably feeling pretty confident with the Fu knowing Nuke and a well-equipped Edge that he can probably take on at least one of the bosses down here.
Yeah, I was a little worried for the stream for a moment because we had simultaneous rest-ins and both displays went black.
Black all of a sudden. Oh no! Luckily, it recovered quickly.
Yeah, everyone just woke up.
Well, so the King and Queen Evelyn fight is quite free. You just need to wait out a few Fire 1 and Fire 2 casts, and the fight will go ahead and end, and you'll be rewarded with a nice chunk of experience at this location.
Yeah, and because Lord Bree does have 10 key items, this spot location rewards 200,000 experience, which should be enough to finish up getting Palom to that nuke spell.
Yeah. Which will really help him for any other of the boss locations he ends up doing up here. Not much quicker with having two sources of nuke.
PlasmaKappa taking on that Mylon Z. Don't blame him. This is essentially free with the setup he's got. Looking like he's going to be keeping Rydia down for the rest of this because she's in the middle spot at the moment. That might change depending on the grind later, but we'll see.
definitely put her in here with the cursed ring to go ahead and get the good agility anchor for these fights. Lord Bree picking up a spoon and another crystal ring from the ribbon room.
Well, we know where Edward is. You could go and pick him up.
Unfortunately, he's been dismissed, and I believe we're on permanent dismiss on this flag set. So
We are, but he
Edward will
didn't pick
not
up the
get to
one in
wield
the
that.
Evelyn Cave.
Oh, that's true. There were many Edwards in this seed. Though, given he has edge to throw it, that's probably not going to be high on Lord Bree's agenda.
Why would Edge want to throw Edward?
Well, he might do quad nines. Only one way to find out.
Held him in the spot for the where play usually is. It's a punchy spot, so I don't blame Lord Bobbery for just dropping out of that, but it is fairly easy to deal with. It's a fairly low hit point spot as well.
Yeah,
but
as well as while you can't throw the elemental spells, he does have access to Quake and Nuke, so he can get out some good magic damage even on the spot.
Yeah,
Though
but
also
we can see what Lord Bobbery's idea is at the moment. I'm face checking bosses.
That's what it does look like. If these are not super free and a good chunk of experience, like with the King Queen Evelyn or the Dark Imps, I don't want to do them.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a hourglass free from the reward from Mylon Z today, and PlasmaKappa says, "Nah, that's enough. I'm going to go and do something else." It does have that darkness crystal, so
might be heading to the moon as well right now. But
yeah, let's hope he hasn't forgotten that DMS, but it's looking very likely right now.
It's looking like it's forgotten. So
yeah. Also hasn't picked up that pink tail item, so
yeah,
it's
that is nice to turn in while you're down on the earth, because say you run into your Dark Imps, you don't have to come back down to the earth to finish your turn in, especially without having access to the pass. As well as who knows what item it is. It might be a really nice one. So do turn that in when you're able to is definitely a nice idea.
Yeah, and Dark Imps are not on the moon. We've gone through all of the locations today. Dark Imps are hiding.
They are. And in fact, and not a pan either, so Lord Bobbery's not going to be sent likely to the Sylph Cave still. He's going to continue looking around, although there are still multiple boss fights he hasn't taken up here. He might go back and try to take those on now to get the key items. So we might see him go to Pale Dim now.
Pale Dim would be the logical check, in my opinion, and CPU is a pain to get through. It's got a lot of health, and with a mage team like Lord Bobbery's got, it's difficult to just pierce through.
Exactly. Definitely not the most scary fight, as his only attacks from the attacker doing 10% of your HP, so percent damage attack. You will make it through the fight, but yeah, with this mage-based party, it's going to take a long time to unfortunately kill the actual CPU body.
Yeah, especially since the main body puts up wall, so single target spells such as Nuke and Virus just won't hit unless you reflect them, and then you're risking hurting the attacker, and then CPU goes berserk with. Yeah.
CPU does not like when both attacker and defender are destroyed, and will throw the Glow 199 for quad 9s of damage to one character, and then again to another character, and then bring both of the attacker and defender back up.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking Blink 199. I have no idea why that was on my mind. It's like
would that be like Blink, but lets you dodge 199 attacks?
For some reason I was thinking of the band.
Of course.
The Blink and the numbers. So it's a crossover between in a computer and a band, apparently. Yeah.
Maybe they'll get in some Blink 192 songs will come onto the Edward Harp. We'll have to see if that's in the future or not.
It's unlikely, maybe, but well,
it doesn't quite fit with the rest of the theme, that's for sure. And Lord Bobbery does make it through the Pale Dim spot.
And I missed the shop again, so we don't know if we've got Barker's wines in there.
And just the Artemis bow, so Lord Bobbery will just reset here. The experience from that spot, not that high, and probably just would rather not have to cabin to get his MP back, so just happy to reset and head down to the next boss spot. Forwin is saying in chat that Bacchus wine was on the moon shop, so there is access to Bacchus wines, which very nice, especially for that Ceromus fight. A good way to get through it, berserking up your strong physical fighters.
Yeah, also means that PlasmaKappa's strategy of just hitting things with pointy weapons is definitely coming to fruition here. Doesn't need to spend a little bit of time stealing them with veg. Are we seeing Meteo from Fu on Lord Bobbery's side? No, Kill 2. No, Kill 4.
Cure, unfortunately, although video is fun to see. It will trigger that counterattack, but pierces wall and will likely do quad 9, so a good way to get through CPU, although you do have to get that defender back down quickly, otherwise he's healing probably 2,000 or 3,000 HP here at this location.
Yeah, and this is definitely a place to throw your spoon, and that's exactly what Lord Bobbery did.
And that X-Gal as well. Let's just get as much damage out as fast as we can here.
Yeah. Tried the float strategy to reflect float onto the attacker. Unfortunately, it hit the CPU, so that is sort of out of the question. But it's likely he's just going to continue with it and throw things and jump with Kane.
And jump, yep. He's getting good damage out here. He will make it through the spot pretty fast. So even with that somewhat lower attack party he has set up here, the darts are doing really good damage and should let him get through the fight pretty quickly.
I didn't see the X-Gal in his inventory, so he must have thrown that at some point as well.
He did. That was immediately after the spoon.
And that's a jump on the attacker. Here come the globes.
Yep.
Or here come the Blink 192s. and that Quake isn't going to do anything because
unfortunately, normally,
floating.
Well, the CPU looks like it's floating. It normally actually isn't floating, but if you reflect the float spell onto it, it is, and that Quake will just not be able to hit it. So, he won't be able to recover here. Again, the spot doesn't only hits your percent HP, so he has the ability to bring his team back up, but the more time he spends doing this, the more HP CPU is getting back.
With his team down like they are at the moment, and his the attacker will actually likely do more damage with the 10% attacks than the life will get them up. So I think this is more time to just cut your losses, start the fight again.
I think you'd be right. That'd probably be the faster play here, because at this point, the Spoon and X-Gal has almost been fully healed back by that defender.
Yeah, Life 2 is fine for getting people back up, but this fight has just taken a little bit of a wrong turn right now.
Alright, so taking out the defender to stop recovering that HP, and we'll just eat the attacks here from the attacker while waiting through that very long medio cast time, but two of them back to back will dump almost 20,000 damage, so if the CPU hasn't been healed back to full yet, maybe that will be enough to end it.
Yeah, this will only do a maximum of 19,998 though, and I believe that CPU is currently above 20,000 health.
Likely, it did get a lot of defender heals there, so it likely is healed back up full to about its 30,000, I believe it had here. PlasmaKappa looks like he either took a reset or a wipe against the Pale Dim, but just going back into the fight now. He did already finish the King and Queen Evelyn spot, so also worth that nice chunk of experience, and Spoon, although no other key items that might be useful to him.
He might be okay. No, there comes the Mazer.
Yeah.
That takes the Palom out. Yeah, this is going to be difficult for him to just get back.
Yeah. That elixir, get the MP back on food to throw more life 2s potentially. Yeah.
But all this time that this is happening, that
Defender's just healing right back up. 3 casts from Defenders, undoing each of those new Meteor casts.
Yeah, that's one Meteor brought back.
Yeah, and with such a long cast time on Meteor, yeah, he definitely can't just queue that up. He'll have to take out the Defender to continue trying to regain his ground here.
He might get through this with another double Meteor, but it depends how much that first set of damage got restored by.
Yep. Imagine that will be the plan though. Or could want to maybe give Viv damage in through his Cane and Edge, and then use them, or then queue up the double Meteor, so once he thinks he's within 20,000 damage.
Yeah, even
the reset Dart double Meteor, that probably would do it. Dart out that spoon, throw 2 Meteors with a jump of Cane, that's probably all the damage you need.
Yeah, with a jump on Cane, yes, because this spot does have 30,830 hit points, so you would need to do a little bit extra above the spoon and 2 Meteors.
Yep, this is giving Kappa a chance to kind of catch up here. He's now on that same boss location, though he hasn't done the Wyvern spot, where Lord Bree has. So as I believe Kappa also skipped the Vanilla Pale Dim altar.
He did, yes. I actually see PlasmaKappa getting through this quite a bit quicker, mostly because he's more set up for it. Sid, Cane, and Edge, although not as high level, can all do the damage.
Those gold dragon shrines. Yep, but still, he thinks it will take enough time that he's not all that interested in it, and is more than happy not to go check out another boss spot.
Yeah.
And maybe PlasmaKappa is also looking for Dark Imps, which for him, we actually know that's his only way to get into go mode now, unless he remembers to check that demiss spot. He just has to find out where the Dark Imps are hiding.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just holding back on that pink tail. Just using this as his last objective, because he knows he's got it in reserve. And yeah, there goes the reset from Lord Bree.
Yep.
I don't want to shout out a whole lot, because you really think, with that particular boss, you feel you can get it back fairly easily, but he spent a whole lot of time on there, and I feel the reset could have come a little bit quicker.
But probably feeling lost a lot of time there, and doesn't want to have to risk doing that again, so he's going to go ahead and check on some of these other bosses. He knows Bahamut's waiting for him down here, which doesn't seem too scary, so maybe that's a good fight to take on right now.
Yeah, on the plus side, this does get him a little bit closer to coming back to the Earth, to doing that Sheila 1 check, to picking up that pigtail to get into go mode.
Yeah, again, definitely though, if any of these spots gave him Pan, I imagine that would return or send him back much sooner. So we're hoping to see the Pan here for Lord Bree to send him right into that Sheila check.
Yeah, the moon hasn't really brought a whole lot. We know, the only spot we haven't seen is that CPU location, CPU at Pogo. And
what the reward is here from
yeah. So we're still missing that rat tail, that Luca key, and that Earth Crystal, which could be here, behind Bahamut, behind CBU, behind Dark Imp.
Exactly. The Earth Crystal would be quite interesting, as that does give you the 2 boss locations, so maybe that's where the Dark Imps are hiding out. Lukiki giving you 1, so half the chance, but still a possibility of finding those Dark Imps. And Pan being really important, as that goes ahead and sends you to Sheila 1's way, as well as the Sylph and Sheila 2 check.
Yeah. I really feel the Dark Imps for our objective today are on the Giant. Of course, I'm going to be proved wrong with the Earth Crystal right now.
I was going to say, with that Earth Crystal reward, we might find out real soon, because I can see Lord Bobry wanting to go just turn that in, get those 2 boss checks done, and see if maybe he's lucky and finds those Dark Imps. Golden Hades noting, maybe Dark Imps is the first Sought Tower boss. He didn't even actually need the Earth Crystal to get into your go mode here. Very possible. We'll have to see. I suppose we'll see if Lord Bobry even goes there, and then get eyes on those bosses.
Yeah, the way this seed has been, we haven't needed the moon at all. Oh, because everything has been on the Earth. We know we know the path to go mode. It's just both our runners have forgotten 1 or 2 things and gone to the moon.
Yep. Which, again, there's a lot of reason to go to the moon. There's a lot of key item checks up there, a lot of bosses up there. There's good reason to go to the moon and hope you'll get to your go mode. Just, it turns out the seed's not the seed where that's useful.
Yeah. And when I say forgotten thing, go ahead.
I was going to say, Lord Bobry going ahead checking first the basement throne here. So valuing just the 1 boss check and the 1 key item, likely because this spot's faster. There's a bit of a walk and some cutscenes to watch at Tower of Zot, so probably going for the speed play here.
Yeah, and when I mean forgetting a few things, PlasmaKappa has forgotten that he's defeated D-Mist at the top of the Tower of Babel, hasn't picked up that particular item, at the moment. It is the Adamant, which would put him into go mode. Lord Bobry has forgotten or not wanted to do Sheila 1, and that gives the pink cell, which will put him into go mode. So we've got countering sort of checks which have just been missed by our runners, that if the other one had done, we might already be in Zeromus by this point.
Yeah, especially with the ability to grind, because sirens were already found by that point. They probably could have been powered or fully powered up here and be taking on that Zeromus fight.
It does make it quite interesting, though, on this sort of thing. Who remembers the other one first?
Yeah. Lord Bobry does have, I suppose you want to call it, the advantage of the pan being a really good reminder to go do that. Again, and it very well might be he hasn't forgotten. He just is purposely holding out to see if he can get that pan by doing every other check that's available to him first. Which, unfortunately, we know pan is not at this location.
Yeah, we know this is a white shirt. PlasmaKappa has already defeated that. No one really that can use that white shirt, so easy reset off to Tower Zot, I guess.
Probably. Oh, Dune is flying around in the Lunar Whale.
One of the things I like to do, one of the things I like to do in that particular spot is, because you've already activated the Lunar Well and gone to the moon and come back, there is a black chocobo in the chocobo forest next to Baron, so you could have picked that up and flew to Zot where he's going now, and once you've done the tower, you get booted back to Baron anyway. So if Dark Imps are here, you then just go straight back up to the moon, because that's where your Lunar Well is.
Definitely some very clever routing there. And Lord Bobry will go ahead and check the treasury here.
I don't like this. Reason being, it's late in the game. That's really the only reason I don't like this. Sure, there's a defense sword, a few Barkus Wines, and a few other quite decent items here, but you've already got a fair amount of good equipment.
Yeah, I'm wondering what he was hoping to see there, because you're right, he already has a lot of really good stuff. Not too sure what he was hoping to pick up, and probably didn't see too much there that was making him all that excited. Yeah, an extra defense swords and box wines. Good.
Zeus Gauntlet, and maybe something for Edge, because Edge is for Bobbery only rocking two mute daggers. He hasn't picked up the same Mazamune ninja sword that PlasmaKappa is rocking right now.
Though he has gotten a big influx of experience, as Palom already have Nuke, so that potentially he doesn't even need to get terribly well equipped on his melee fighters. He can just go for reflect strats on Zeromus. We'll have to see what his plan is as he continues through the Tower of Zot and shows us 2 new boss locations. Good news on PlasmaKappa is going ahead and turning in his pink tail, so that will be one more objective lit up for him.
Yeah, and is likely picked up that Earth Crystal just a moment ago, and is going to go to Tower of Zot as well very shortly. So if the Dark Imps are up here, I'd say advantage Lord Bobbery right now.
Yeah, no further up. Or there's always a chance we'll remember that D-Mist and swing by there. No, looks like it is Tower of Zot though.
D-Smooth, the answer is the pink. The adamant was behind D-Mist, and the pink tail was behind Sheila 1.
And here's our first boss in Tower of Zot. And no, while a free boss like the Dark Imps, it is unfortunately not the Dark Imps. Just the officer and soldier fight here.
Yeah, this won't be an issue. One Quake, get rid of the soldiers. Really, you don't need the experience now. Your levels are fine. Let the officer run away after the Quake and just move on as quickly as possible. Or you could just nuke it and
just nuke it too. Look, the nuke came out faster than the retreat command, so why not?
Yeah, it's a little bit longer animation though.
Alright, still a chance though here for finding the Dark Imps, as there is one more boss here. There are 2 characters here, although all the experience Lord Bree has gotten, I'm not too sure he's going to pick anyone up. Although unless he feels like he does need that white mage for the fight, then he might grab one. But Fu can really carry that duty.
Yeah, you don't need too much. You've got plenty of Barker's wines now. Just those 2 should be more than enough from the treasury. I don't think Purim is really the person to pick up unless you want to refresh your anchor, and either Purim or the new Teller can cover that.
Yep. Teller number 3, I believe, here could be your anchor, but Lord Bobbery happy with his current Teller, so.
Yeah, with a curse ring, you don't really mind too much anyway.
That curse ring really will solve a lot of your agility problems. There's that wyvern hanging out over here.
Speaking of a sneaky wyvern, this is one of the most sneaky.
Yep, definitely. So a second boss behind having to fight one boss. Although you do get the chance to save in between. But then you watch this short cutscene there, picking up those 2 characters, and then if you eat that wipe, some extra time to go through those checks again.
Yeah, got to start up on Palom though. And because this bot's magic attack is so high, 9999, reflected back to Wyvern. Fight over, Palom survives. Let's move on, see what the key item we get here is.
And not what we were hoping to see. That's not going to help Lord Bobbery go in the right direction here. Just a white spear for his cane. Good piece of equipment, but won't trigger that Sheila 1 check for sure.
I say you say it won't point him in the correct direction, but let's face it. What has he got left? Giant, Feymarsh, or Sheila 1?
Yeah.
So there's not really that much left, and he's choosing Feymarsh, and if there's that pan behind the Dark Elf, that's an instant go and check that, because that's 3 key items.
That is true. There really just aren't too many spots left to check at this point, so it might very well be getting higher on Lord Bobbery's spot, because, I mean, you can't always wait for the pan forever to do the Sylph Cave, because sometimes Sheila 1 is holding the pan, so.
And if this is the pan behind, I'd say, the Dark Elf, this still puts it in Lord Bobbery's favour, because he's looking for key item as well. The Dark Imps are not really on his mind right now. He's needing key items to get to those other locations, except the Giant. But who wants to go to the Giant? PlasmaKappa has already done those things, and the one thing he's missing is the D-Mist. So that's why I think Lord Bobbery has got a very big advantage here, because of the one thing that PlasmaKappa has unfortunately forgotten.
Yep, I do agree. There is a chance here that the pan is maybe at the end of a somewhat long chain, so maybe this gives Luca Key gives Rat Tail gives pan. So Lord Bobbery might have a lot waiting in front of him and not run into the Dark Imps. Maybe PlasmaKappa decides to go another route. Maybe he does check that Giant and is rewarded with the Dark Imps there. So there's still a chance for either runner to pull off the win here.
Yeah, PlasmaKappa might just run off to the moon, find the Dark Imps in the first or second spot, just go through that, and finish up his experience grind, while Lord Bobbery gets stuck in the mire looking for this pan.
Yep.
And again, taking revenge on the Dark Imp, the Dark Elf, and just about to take revenge on the Mylon Z, who both wiped him earlier.
Yeah.
But that was a pass.
Yeah. Which, hey, good. That'll cut off time when he is ready to go to Roma's fight. Won't have to walk back down. PlasmaKappa landing right next to Mist. Oh boy. So entering Mist Cave. Will he remember he's right here? This is the time to remember. And unfortunately, PlasmaKappa gets back in the airship and flies off, so he did not. Looking for the Dark Imps, just checking these boss spots he hasn't been to yet.
Luca Key, Pan, and Rat Tail are all behind CPU. No one's going back for that.
Yep, we already did see the Mylon C fight, and it did not reward one of those, so yep.
So that means the Dark Imps are behind that CPU fight, which means Lord Bobbery
is the Giant, but
or the Giant, which means Lord Bobbery is likely going to be heading over to Sheila 1 next. I don't see him fading it now. This is too late in the game.
I agree on that. Although PlasmaKappa is going ahead and doing that Giant check, so if this is where the Dark Imps are hiding out, could be getting into go mode, as well as a big influx of experience here for PlasmaKappa.
Yeah, it depends where Lord Bobbery is going to go next, really. Does he focus more on trying to find these Dark Imps, or does he go and do that one free check left? PlasmaKappa is saying, I need to find these Dark Imps now, and go into this location, which isn't bad, but it's going to take him a while, and Lord Bobbery is on the path.
Yeah, it really depends if the Dark Imps are here. Are they in spot 1 or 2? If they're in spot 1, great. PlasmaKappa knows and will likely keep pushing. If they are here and say in spot 2, does PlasmaKappa take whatever is that first boss just to be able to check the second one, or just reset when he sees they're not that first spot?
I'm hoping he's done a save outside, because with Vanilla Giant on, once you've entered the Giant, you do need to go through the entirety. It's a good place for levels, yes, but if neither of the bosses are here, do you really want to complete both? Never mind.
Definitely. But turns out rewarded. There are the Dark Imps, and thankfully in the first spot, so he knows they're here. How is he taking this fight on? He has a lot of options. So he has coffins, stone,
Coffin.
multicast, hourglasses. He has an hourglass 3 at least, because they are hitting hard.
Yeah, you definitely want to stop them right now, and then at the very least, and then coffin life.
Yeah, that'd be a huge influx of experience doing it that way. Yeah,
or you could just stone like that.
Yep. Stone, unfortunately, can miss there. Has a 30% hit rate, and with food not being in the center slot, not getting that accuracy bonus, can miss. But hey, throw it off a few times. Maybe we'll go connect one of them, and he gets it on the second cast there. And that's an objective done, which puts him into go mode.
Yep. Meanwhile, Lord Bree has
find his pigtail, and so now is also in go mode.
Yeah, just about to pick up the item, which I don't think was anything special. Was it a white shirt?
I don't recall what this one's.
I
don't recall.
And Artemis bow, which really doesn't matter for any of our characters here. But Lord Bree's got his crystal. He doesn't have to go through an additional boss now. He's got the pass, so he's
even has the pass. Yeah, good. He decides to make space in his inventory for that crystal. A good decision. How rude is this CPU spot for PlasmaKappa? The D-Lunar is definitely not the rudest boss by any means. There's many ways to get through this. His party is pretty well equipped to take them on.
Yeah, the punches will do a little bit before the breath comes out if you're going to use the Lunar Frog strategy. But this fight should be okay as long as PlasmaKappa just plays the cards right and puts the walls up at the right time.
Definitely make sure to take his Tela down to keep that really low agility values on him for a good anchor.
And Lord Bree is heading to Zeromus. So we have a question. We don't move Zeromus. We don't change him for the most part, except that he's a master of disguise, you could say. He's currently wearing a mask, and there's something behind that. We don't know what it is. We won't find out until the crystal is thrown. But there's a question people do like to ask. Cloffer, what's that question again?
Well, that question is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? So, as you were saying, it's always Zeromus at this spot, but we do go ahead and get a random sprite for him from over 500, I believe. So when you hit him with the crystal here, he will reveal which of those 500 sprites he has, and there's plenty of great ones, so hoping for a good one on this seed.
Yeah, there's over 500 great ones, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're... Oh, great. But yes, who's behind the mask? Apparently Liu Yang's on the tower, on the giant today. Go him. Oh, it's Wabbit season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was really hoping you'd continue that.
Oh. What's the follow-up?
Duck season.
Ah, of course.
Sometimes you just can't get the co-commentators. Can I have a refund, please?
I'll have to brush up on Looney Tunes, apparently. All right.
Elmer Fudd, though, one of the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, always trying to hunt them, and is as goofy as he looks. One of the best ones, though.
All right. So Lord Bree here, getting good damage out through his melee attackers. Getting 3,000 there with Kane, and starting with that edge, because hey, he has his spoon and his Excal back.
Definitely a good use of them against Zeromus, just like they've good use against that CPU. But since he's got them, use them.
Definitely. There we are. Looks like actually Hybrid Strats 2 is also throwing the nukes off of a wall here. From both the Palom and Fusoya for other 8,000, 9,000 points of damage.
Yeah, if you've got Palom and Fu with nukes, and you've got really just one, and if you've got two people that can be berserked up with fairly decent equipment like Kane and Edge, yeah, go hybrid. It might not be quite as quick as a full reflect strategy, of 3 or 4, but with 2 and 2, yeah, this is the faster way.
Definitely. And PlasmaKappa feeling like he needs a few more levels before taking on Zeromus himself, while in go mode, gonna do a little bit more grinding.
Yeah, probably wants that nuke on Rydia, which shouldn't be too far away. I think 1 or 2. Heck, maybe that might have been it.
Yep. Looks like that one fight was enough, going on to take on Zeromus himself now.
Yeah, and Zeromus is not easy. There still can be issues happening here. And, well, PlasmaKappa is needing still to walk down that lunar path. So it's not... this isn't... Oh, okay, never mind. This isn't a sure thing that PlasmaKappa had lost until just a moment ago, where Photomus shook, and fell. We have a winner. Lord Bree has won today in a time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 54 seconds. Good game to him.
GG, thank you.
GG, looks like we're joined here by Lord Bree, so GG on that seed.
And the first question is, Sheila won. You didn't check it for quite a while. Was she just looking for a pen?
For the most part, yeah. Eventually, I forgot about her, and yeah, until I had to check her at the end there.
Yeah, we thought that. Yeah, we thought that might have been in the case. Would you like to know where the dark imps were? Because you were likely scouring everywhere.
Yes, I would.
First spot in Giant.
Okay, that would have been the last place I looked. So.
Yeah, under these flags, that's not really surprised. So.
Yeah, we were wondering if it was going to be check the Giant there, or head back for that CPU fight, or do that Sheila 1 check. And we were glad to see you head towards Sheila 1.
Thankfully, I made so many mistakes against that CPU.
Yeah, it was a slog of a fight, and things just didn't seem to go right for you. The float, the meteors didn't quite hit their mark. The ill-timed healings on their side.
Definitely overall throwing some good strategies there, though. The knowledge of trying to get that float on him so he could get onto the attacker for the quakes, good use of the darts, but yeah, it was just unfortunate on how everything kind of strung together there. That accidental jump to take out the attacker could have ended that fight, but hey, that might have led you away from the Sheila 1 check for longer. Very well could have been that Luca key into Rat Tail into Pan Shane, so might have actually sped you up to not be able to finish it.
Yeah, at least in that case, I'd have skipped Fey March.
But it did give you the pass.
True.
Yeah. Did you? One of the things I noticed is you went back to the Dwarf Castle. You went back to the Fey Marsh. Was there a little hint of revenge at getting through those bosses, as well as just looking for that Pink Tail or Pan, because they had wiped you before, and fairly bad wipes as well?
Definitely in the case of the Dark Elf, because It was just like so close to being able to get off a hourglass. It felt like there.
Yeah.
Very close. Similarly, I guess when you were kind of still on the moon, were you just doing face checks of all the bosses there, hoping to find the dark imps? We saw you look at Pale Dim and choose not to take it, and CPU, and then hang over to the Wyvern spot.
Yeah, if I could do a boss fast enough, I took it. Otherwise, I just kept checking.
Definitely makes a lot of sense.
So you're now 1 and 2. You're still in the running. You probably were probably breathing a little bit of sigh of relief that your way into the brackets is still sort of in your own hands. Are you going to be looking with bated breath for next week on your opponent, just seeing where you can get the advantages to hopefully get 2 and 2 and beyond?
Definitely.
Do you feel like you're going to change up anything to just maybe just iron out some of the details that you might feel you were lacking today?
Pretty much. Need to get better at dealing with tough physical bosses without armor, stuff like that. Just, I don't know. I feel like inventory is usually an issue for me too.
Inventory is the bane of everyone, so I'm not really surprised.
The true final boss of Free Enterprise.
So we'll just like to thank you for putting yourself up for Restream and being giving us a fantastic race. PlasmaKappa was looking in all the wrong places. Unfortunately, he was looking. He did demiss, but didn't actually cash it out, which was his way of not winning this. But you took advantage of that. You've got the win today. Congratulations and good luck for next week.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So with that, Lord Bobry has won today, and PlasmaKappa is heading into Fudamus.
Yep, took the first, I'm not sure actually first Big Bang, but that was a big bang there, knocking down some of his party members, just picking them up here, getting ready to, looks like cure everyone back up, and hopefully get maybe some Berserks and Reflected Nukes going.
Yeah, looks like Edge took the counter nuke and then just fell over with the fell over to the Big Bang. But this shouldn't be too bad. A couple Berserks, as you said, same sort of rules apply to what Lord Bobry did. It get the nukes coming out, throw that spoon, throw Zatek Scowl, well, throw whatever you've got, and just go from there.
Yep, definitely. He's eating some. Have some good magic defense.
Magic defense is a little bit absurd, unfortunately, for the most part. Gets a very good wisdom and will growth, and can. It's not quite as high as Palamapurum, but because it's combined, and the defense that she gets is actually better than both of them.
Really showing off there, being able to survive even with only 1600 HP. It's that full strength Big Bang.
Definitely what you want when you've got her throwing cure 3 potions to just shore up that Berserk Cane, that Berserk Edge.
Yep. As well as restoring, it looks like MP to Fu. Make sure he can keep throwing out cures.
I'm not sure why, but this Zoroma seems really quick.
It does. I missed the start of the fight. I'm not sure if a Silk Web was thrown out or not. Um, Something triggered the counter Duke. I assumed it was the Silk Web.
Yeah, it might have
maybe
been
there was
just
a
another
straight
phone.
nuke. Yeah.
Yeah, or might have been just a phone crystal. Well, just to nuke
Sure,
that,
just to get the
nerf
nerf.
that first one. Yeah. So yeah, this Elm Third Nerdamus is definitely a little bit quicker than you'd want. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the late berserks happened as well. And that meant that Thirdamus got a few more extra turns in, and because they weren't being clogged up.
Yep. Although at least the damage numbers are pretty nice, so that will help PlasmaKappa get through here. Edge hitting for over 4,000 damage.
Yeah. Another black hole coming out, but I think as long as you can get the berserks going again, plenty of Barker's wines in the inventory. This shouldn't be too bad once you get over the hump of the first section.
Yep, looks like PlasmaKappa here hitting in good pattern, throwing out the Bacchus wines, just waiting on Fu. It looks like to throw out the Cure 4. Oh, I actually want to top off Fu's HP, looks like, from the Big Bang life drain.
Yeah, although Fu has got 2100 health, that's still not quite enough to defend against a full power Big Bang. So you do want to just make sure you're not going to be defeated by those 1 or 2 hit points.
Yeah, definitely. Though fairly nice low roll there on Fu, only taking 1300.
Cure 4 coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if we're now in the nuke phase. There's another black hole coming out. But the good thing about this particular second phase with the black holes and nukes is black hole only comes out every couple of Big Bangs. So you're going to get a more prolonged period of those berserks being on your characters.
Oh, excellent.
Of course, you're going to have to deal with a nuke, but
those can hit a little hard, yeah.
Yeah, but you've still got a little bit of leeway where your damage is going to be available and hitting your opponent's Thromus.
Like PlasmaKappa trying to be conservative here with his MP. Fusaya, a great mage, doesn't have the largest MP pool, so only throwing a Cure 3 there to top off Edge's life.
Yeah.
Oh.
And here come the rocks. So Thromus is on his dying gasps, and good thing about Meteor is it won't do more than just over 1,000 damage. So with the berserks happening, this shouldn't be too long before a finish.
There it is, the flash. PlasmaKappa finishing with an official time of 2:05:08.
And we're going to see if we can get him in for a very brief interview, because we do have another race coming on after this, almost immediately. So here he is. Congratulations, PlasmaKappa, you got through that. Unfortunately, not a win today. One quick question is, did you forget Demist?
Yes, because I forgot to click the button. So
That
it
makes a
doesn't
whole
show
lot of
up.
sense. Yeah. We had a feeling that might have been the case, Ace, with you going everywhere, but and unfortunately didn't. It sort of took you away from the go mode that you wanted.
I was too busy trying to keep my entire inventory memorized. No.
Yeah, and yeah, there was a whole lot going on after that. You got the hook, you got the Baron key, you went and did Sheila 1, which gave you the pink tail. There was a lot going on after that in terms of objectives and possible character locations for Edge. So
yeah, definitely tough. Something happens to everyone. It's you miss clicking in your tracker, hitting the right button, and then just forget about it. And it doesn't always punish, but unfortunately sometimes it does, and that looks like what happened in this seed.
Well, at least I didn't face CPU.
Yeah, that would have taken you way away from everything, and since it gave a very long chain to get that, and well, the Dark Imps
And
weren't even behind it; they were
yeah.
up on the giant.
exactly. Would
Yep.
not have been helpful.
Well, after that, I just have Usher and I have Mazmoon, so might as well go dive the giant for my Dark Imps.
We're wondering kind of on that dive, were you going to do the entire giant, or was just the thought to do Dark Imps if it was in the first spot, and reset if they weren't, or were you just going to do everything?
I suppose I have to do everything at that point. Yeah, I have to check the other one, although I'm pretty sure. And then if I get all the way to the second one, I might as well just keep going and take the nice XP.
Definitely
Yeah.
finish your grind that way.
So you're now 0 and 3, or pretty much on the verge of being out. I'm not certain if 3 and 3 is enough to go through or not.
I'm pretty sure there's
yeah, for being one of the admins of this, I am completely ignorant on that particular fact. I'm just focusing on my own play in this tournament. But are you going to be continuing to do your best just to see if you can be one of those outliers of getting through into those last stages?
Oh, of course. I'm just here to win a match.
Yeah, and have some fun doing it.
Possibly, yes.
That's all we can ask for then. And we're going to wrap things up briefly. So, but we want to thank you for being on the restream today and giving us a race. It was fascinating to watch you both sort of crisscross us with Lord Bob Bree not doing that Sheila one. You unfortunately missing that demist and going off to the moon and everything. It was a very fascinating and race to watch. So thank you very much for showing us it today.
Yep. You know what? Yep. Thank you for putting it on.
Oh, great. Well, thanks, and GG's. Good run. Tough break, unfortunately, on that D-miss, but a lot of good plays overall. So thanks for showcasing for us.
GG's.
And that is this particular run today. Congratulations to Lord Bob Bree. Commiserations to PlasmaKappa, but brilliant runners. Give them a follow if you feel the want. They put on an excellent show for us today. Behind the scenes, we have had Cubs all doing his first restream today and has done very well. And we're looking forward to working a lot more with him in the future. We've had Paladin and Aegis is doing our tracking today, pressing those buttons, showing us what was what. Beside me, Fair, always a consummate professional of this particular game in a lot of people's minds, maybe not his own. And there's me, who's just the clown of the area. As for what's coming next, you don't even need to press anything, because in less than 10 minutes, we have another race coming up. We have, if I can remember what the race is, a Stone Dingley versus Golden Hades right here on the Free Enterprise channel. So don't miss that one. Another banger of a race coming up. Any last words, Cyclofer?
Nothing else for me. That was a fun race to watch. Definitely exciting. I'll be looking forward to watching this next one on this channel. I'm sure it'll be another exciting one. And just a big thanks out to everyone on this restream team, and big thanks to everyone putting together the next race.
Yep. So until next time, well, whenever that will be, Lali-Ho, everyone.